your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome in Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyles with you back as always. Jake's at the wheel, keeping us on the track. Hope things going well for you. Hope you had a great Memorial Day weekend. Happy holidays, everybody. Salute to all the men and women around the country and around the world who thank you for your service. Allow us to do the things that we do. Welcome back to reality. The workday is starting back off again. We can't get away from it. Lots to talk about today on the program. Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier, of course, joins us as always. How about an exclusive interview with Michael Lewis, the newest assistant at UCLA, former Hoosier? We'll talk to Michael. Looking forward to that. We'll also hear a reboot from Coach Tom Allen, who joined us on Friday. Not a lot going on over the weekend. Some NBA action. The Toronto Raptors are heading to the NBA Finals as they wrap up the series over the Bucks. 4-2, a 194 win at home. I'm done with that Drake character, I can tell you that. Man, the dude has to be the show. It's not enough for him to be on the sideline. He's got to be the show. Funny, ridiculous. Indiana baseball headed to the NCAA tournament as the number 2 seed in Louisville. I believe their first game is Friday. We'll head down there and complete coverage. It's All-Star season. The All-Star games are coming up. The Kentucky-Indiana All-Star Series. I think those games are the 7th and 8th. But there's plenty more before that. The juniors, they'll be playing. And now they play Kentucky. Indiana plays junior. Indiana and Kentucky All-Stars play each other. Before, it was just playing the seniors. So expanding that out a little bit. Turning it into a whole week event. Pardon me. Long weekend. Gosh, can't have enough of those. Hope you had fun, whatever you wanted to do. I got lots of rest. And very happy for it. Jake, were you out running, chasing some basketball down, videography?
Dirt bikes. I was in Springfield, Illinois for the Springfield TT and the Springfield Mile with American Flat Track Racing.
Fun times.
It was pretty cool, actually.
Springfield, the capital of Illinois. That had to be fun during Memorial Day weekend.
I mean, it was okay. The race itself was fine. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of driving through Illinois, but it was the race itself was a good time and a lot of good action on the track. And
speaking of races, a couple of big races happened over the weekend. The Indianapolis 500, one of the best finishes in a long time, man. That'll keep people interested in racing. What a great finish that was. Man, they were making passes like it was a NASCAR race. Back and forth. There were several people in contention. That was an exciting finish. Right up to the end, instead of it being already determined. Then you had the Coca-Cola 600 that night NASCAR race after the Indy 500 was over. 1,100 miles of racing that day. It's a lot of racing. Had a 3-man golf scramble tournament at the Eagle Point participated in that. It was cool. They awarded first, fourth, and seventh. My team got seventh. Thank you very much. We'll take it. Strategic placing there. But it's all-star season. It's camp season. There's all kinds of stuff going on, man. The camps at all the sports are about to start. June 1st, I know the football camps start for Indiana. And you've got all kinds of things after that. We'll try to keep you updated, but Jordan Hulls has a camp. Lots going on, man. It's camping season. It's also our all-star season, like I mentioned. And the junior all-stars didn't used to play each other. Now they do. That'll be pretty cool. I think that takes place at Jeffersonville High School. And I don't know where else in Kentucky. Probably some elementary school. Just a joke. For comparison of Indiana's side of things versus Kentucky, Indiana plays their all-star games at Bankers Life Fieldhouse, home of an NBA team, the Pacers, in a 18,000 seat stadium. Kentucky hosts their all-star game at Bellarmine, University of Bellarmine, which is a Division II school with a capacity of about 2,500. They like to talk about basketball, but they're just fans of Kentucky basketball. It's not a basketball state. I don't care what anybody says. Indiana's a basketball state. They lead the series 3-1 as far as the series goes. And it's always been held in Indianapolis on the Indiana side of things. Whereas Kentucky's has moved around from Frankfort to Louisville to Western Kentucky, Bowling Green, Lexington. They've tried it everywhere. Amazing how they just could never find a perfect home for it because it's not a basketball state. You can move it all you want. Settle into your nice 2,500 seat arena there. That's the difference between a basketball state and one that's not, one that pretends to be. But lots of all-star action going on, man. You can get to see a lot of future players especially on the Indiana side. Generally, everybody on the Indiana side is a Division I athlete. They're all going somewhere. Of course, headed by Mr. Basketball, Trace Jackson Davis. And then last year was a lot of fun watching the Junior All-Stars. Battle of the seniors. This year you'll get to see the juniors battle their counterparts from Kentucky. That game takes place Monday, I believe. So plenty going on to keep you busy. If you whatever sports you're in, the camps are coming around. Everybody go to IU. HoosierSportsCamp.com. That'll get you to where you need to get to as far as any of the Indiana camps. Don't forget about the special Indiana basketball camp with Victor Oladipo. It's only $4,000. You can be a coach or a player, whatever you want. You can live the lifestyle. How about an exclusive interview with Michael Lewis? Jake's got a grin on his face like a Cheshire cat. What are you thinking, Jake?
I was just going to ask during that Victor Oladipo camp like the participants have to live in dorms and have to eat at Wright Food Court and just basically get to live college all over
Yeah,
again.
I'm going to go with the no on that. But you never know, man. If you want to get the true atmosphere. Of course, nowadays, it's not like it used to be. Nowadays, it was living in dorms or just a regular old ratty apartment. I think they built that. IU's got that new complex across from the football stadium. Looks pretty nice. Wouldn't be surprised if they housed a lot of athletes there. I mean, I'm glad they don't have like an Olympic Village, because then you'd have. I mean, I know you want them together, so to speak, but at the same time, you don't want them sequestered from the student body. I wouldn't think. Hey, the baseball tournament selection field came out. As I mentioned, Indiana, number 2 seed in Louisville. As the losses in Omaha didn't hurt them a bit. Did not change a single thing about their tournament placement. They were long thought to be a number 2 seed in Louisville, and that's exactly what happens. They go 0-2 in Omaha, and it doesn't matter. We'll hear from Jeff Mercer, as a matter of fact, after Coach Allen today. Also, I think Matt Gorski. But Indiana starts play on Friday in Louisville. I forget who they play. They play Illinois. Is it Illinois State? There's regionals all over the place, man. You got a Los Angeles regional even. But yeah, they play game 1 against Illinois State Friday. That's at 2 p.m. That game is followed by Louisville. And who is UIC? Man, I'm usually pretty good with the I don't know who that is. Man, it bothers me. But that game's at 6. Of course, if both teams win, or both teams, if Indiana and Louisville wins, they will face off at 4 p.m. on Saturday. If either of them lose, they play at 11 a.m. So you have a quick – so if you play that 6 o'clock game and you lose, your reward, you better hurry up and get to bed because you've got another game at 11 o'clock the next morning. That 6 o'clock game will not get over until 9:30 at the earliest. I mean, you're looking at getting over at 9:30, getting out of there at 10 if they're hustling, 10:30 probable, getting in bed by 11. That's not too bad. But it's not that easy just to shut it down if you're like me.
UIC is University of Illinois Chicago, by the way.
Man, I was thinking Illinois Central or something. All right. Illinois Chicago. Illinois had some good I think Illinois made it too. So you got Illinois State, Illinois Chicago right there in the same region. And I don't know where Illinois ended up, but I'm pretty certain that they made the tournament. We'll go through all that and more. Today on the program, we've got an exclusive interview with Michael Lewis, former Hoosier, now at UCLA. Looking forward to that. Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier will join us as well. Plenty to talk about on the baseball side as the NCAA tournament gets underway as well. We'll hear from Jeff Mercer, Matt Gorski. We got plenty to get to. Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle back with more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Bless my soul.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become one in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, you want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Hope you're having a great day because we're about to make it better. We're very honored and fortunate to be joined by Indiana head football coach Tom Allen. Coach Allen, how are you, sir?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. Just having an awesome spring, getting ready for these summer months to get rolling here.
Well, I hope you're staying dry, man. We had a lot of rain in Bloomington here the last few days.
No question. It's been that way all spring, and there's no sign of stopping. It's crazy.
Well, thank you again for you and Jeff Kegg, for the media guy, for helping us get this taken care of. But any idea how many miles you travel just in a recruiting season?
You know what? That would be an interesting stat. I've never done that. It would be a whole bunch. I know that, and it's
gosh, sometimes we're in 3 states in one day. I think is my record for states in one day that I've been in. And so, yeah, we log a bunch of hours, a bunch of miles, and that's just part of it, though. It's what we got to do.
Well, and when you originally took this job, a lot of people questioned whether somebody with no collegiate head coach experience could or should start at the Big Ten level. I'll be honest, I was one of those people then. But I got to tell you, man, after watching what you've done, it's just utterly amazing. The results that you're getting on the recruiting side that's never been achieved at Indiana. What does it take besides your unstoppable amount of energy that you have to get something like that accomplished?
Well, I do think it begins with that, because I think it takes a tremendous amount of energy to get on the phone with these recruits, to message them, to get their parents on the phone, to go visit them, to go just to be able to put the time in, because it's about building relationships, and building relationships takes time, and there's no shortcut to it. And so to me, and I've worked with a lot of different guys, and I just believe so strongly that I have to be the strongest recruiter on our staff, and I have to lead by example with that. And that just involves a whole bunch of my energy and a whole bunch of my time to be able to build relationships and create an environment where the parents and the decision makers in these young men's lives trust us. And that's what it comes down to.
Well, it's certainly no lack of energy if you've ever been around Coach Allen. You know that's for a fact. But obviously what you're doing is the goal is to be able to compete in the toughest division in all of college football, the Big Ten East. How hard has it been to create a culture of winning in that at that level when there hasn't been one really before, not solidly set?
Yeah, it's a challenge. There's no question about it. And, you kind of go through and say, how do you get players here? Well, you got to win. Well, you got to be able to win. You got to have great players to win. And so that dynamic is definitely a challenge. But to me, what you do is you just you take the guys you have and you develop them, and you create an unbelievable amount of belief that they can compete at the highest level, and they've come here to the Big Ten. And then you got to go out and find great players and convince them to come here and convince them to be the reason why the change occurs. And, we don't have a very recent history that allows these kids to look at. So my whole goal has been to create a vision for what the future is going to be, and that they can come here and be a big part of that future and make history here at Indiana and do things that have happened in the past but not in their lifetime. And some kids, that really resonates with. They want to come here and be a part of making history. And so, but you got to take the guys you got here right now, and we got to develop them. We got to find ways to close out these close games and finish those close games. And so you create some momentum with on-the-field success. Right now we've created a lot of momentum with recruiting success. And those guys, this 2019 class, most of them aren't even here yet, and so they'll be arriving here in about a week. But that's the big class we just signed. The class before that, they obviously are here as freshmen, and those guys are being developed. So it's just taking these guys that are on campus to developing them as players, developing them mentally, and creating a belief that they can go out there and get the job done on game day.
You've maintained, talking about developing, you've maintained a lot of continuity on your staff. Something else that's very tough to do, especially in a situation where you're trying to build something or grow something. It's hard to get everybody to stay and buy in and all that, but you've really done a pretty good job of that.
Well, that also goes into, I would say they would agree with this, because we've talked about it openly, that they believe in what we're doing. Some guys had opportunities to go other places, but they see the vision, they see the progress we're making, they believe in the culture we're creating, and they know we're really, really close. And they want to be here when it changes, because they know it's going to be special. They know it's something that hasn't happened for a long time, and there's just there's an environment here that coaches love to be in, because their family's valued, their time is valued. Yeah, there's no doubt we work really, really, really hard, but I try to create an environment where they can be great husbands and fathers as well as be great football coaches, and that's the balance that you have to have, and that's something that is hard to find, and it's hard to get in this profession, and I've done it long enough to know that it's not that way everywhere. So I think that's helped us with our continuity, and it's a fun environment to be in, and we work extremely hard together for each other and with each other.
And being a relatively new head coach still, what is the toughest thing you've seen as being a head coach that maybe wasn't as obvious from being an assistant?
Oh, just the time demands. You just get spread so thin. I think that, when you're an assistant and focusing on your area of responsibilities, you're busy and you're recruiting and you're coaching and all those things. But then when now you're sitting in this chair and you're over so many things that have nothing to do with game day, or things that perceive to be football related things that take so much of your time, and any issue that comes up, you're part of it, whether it's academic issues or off the field issues or something in housing or whatever happens with our players and something in recruiting. And so, you just find yourself being in a position where you've got to, wear a lot of different hats and be very, very organized and have a great plan so you can be efficient in your time.
Part of that was elevating Kane Womack to the defensive coordinator position. You relinquished those duties, something that people really, they were excited that when you were there, because you did a crazy amount of job of turning that defense around. But you're also still part of the defense, but you've really turned the duties over to him. And I know that. How hard was that for you to do?
Well, I think it was something that I knew I needed to do. And I think that when you go through and you start to realize, as I mentioned before, with the schedule and the time demands, all those things, I got to the point where I felt like that I knew it was time to make that adjustment. But when it comes to actually doing it during the season, I think it's going to be the hardest point, is on game day when I'm not making those decisions, and I got to do a great job of trusting Coach Womack and this defensive staff and the decisions they're going to make. In the calls. Now, I'm going to be involved with the game planning part of that. I'm going to watch all that film with those guys. But when it actually comes to calling that, I'm going to relinquish that. And I think that's the hard part. You got to, be able to not second guess and realize that everybody has their own thoughts on things. But I will say the system is in place, and Kane understands it, and it's not going to be dramatically different. And so I think we got that established. We got a culture established of how we're going to play defense and an expectation how hard we're going to play, and how we're going to create takeaways, how we're going to be very fundamentally sound, tackle extremely well, and play very hard. So I feel good about that, and I think that because he's been here for a whole year, he knows the system inside and out. I feel great about the decision.
You also have a new offensive coordinator in Kalen DeBoer. Now that you're the head coach and you don't have as much duties on the one side of the ball, is it hard to not involve yourself more on the offensive side? To trust them?
It can be. Yeah, and I've seen head coaches, I've been with several different coaches. Most of them have been offensive-minded guys, and I see them, in the past I see them kind of come on the defensive side or come into our meetings and kind of just meddle a little bit and this and that, and I usually saw it not be very positive because they weren't in there all the time, and then sometimes the things that you felt that the coordinator felt pressured to maybe do those things that they were suggesting, even though it may not have fit with what you're trying to accomplish or your overall system. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to meddle, but I definitely want to be an assistant. So I want to be able to, make sure I have a great feel for what they're doing, why they're doing it, so I can hold them accountable for the things that we say we want to do as an offensive staff. And so there's things I want to see done and things accomplished. And so, yeah, like I said, I don't want to meddle on that side of the ball, but I want to be able to be a part of what they're doing and help them, be effective. And at the end of the day, you hire great people and you let them do their job. That's what I want to do with Caleb.
And talk about the offense, man. He's got a lot of nice pieces to work with. Is this the deepest unit you've seen at your time at Indiana overall, period?
Yeah, I would say on both sides of the football, there's more good players. There's guys at every position that I think can make plays and do good things. And we got depth at quarterback for the first time since I've been here and in a long time in our program. And we got a bunch of receivers and several running backs. And probably the biggest concern or question mark is depth on the offensive line. I love our first unit with that group, but we got some young guys that have to come along with that. But other than that position, there's a lot of experience depth, at the receiver spot and at running back and quarterback. So I just feel like that, that would probably be an accurate statement.
And in sports, we hear a lot of certain buzzwords all the time, and one of them is buy-in. But I hate to be cliche, but man, this team certainly seems to be bought in down to a man, and there's nothing more difficult than to get 150 people to agree and be on the same page.
It is a challenge for sure, but it's one of my number one objectives and responsibilities is to create that buy-in with this team, and it's grown every single year I've been here, and it is at an all-time high since I've been here. I want it to continue to grow, and they believe in what we're doing. They believe in our strength staff. They believe in the off-season program that we're doing. They believe in what we're doing on the field, and I think that's indicative of how hard they're working right now in the weight room. And the month of May is a discretionary month. Can't make them stay here and be here, but by the numbers, and you see the majority of our team chose to do that, and they're here working hard, and that's a great sign, and that shows that they have bought in and they do believe, and they're hungry. We got a big chunk of our team that haven't had an opportunity to play in a bowl game, and they want that. They're hungry for that, and they know that they got to do the little things right and be willing to sacrifice for this team. And that's where LEO is so huge. With when you talk about staff retention, I think that's a big part of that. That's not just for the players; it's for our staff as well, and then the buy-in as well is just a part of that whole equation of the culture that you create, and guys that want to be here and that have invested and work really, really hard, and they love each other, they care about each other, and they train their tails off for each other.
Obviously, back-to-back 5 and 7 seasons, not what you'd wanted, but everyone that I've talked to, that I hear speak, everything seems to be going in the right direction. What do you have to do to really get over that hump and to get to where you're trying to get to?
Yeah, it's very disappointing, to finish the second year with another 5 and 7 record that saw us be in so many close games again that could have changed everything with one play here, one play there. So, I think the number one thing is depth. That to me, that's what it comes down to, and it's depth on both sides of the football and in special teams, and that to me is what we have to keep building. That's why the recruiting is so huge, and bringing in another class, even though we're still going to be young. We're only going to have 12 seniors this year, 10 juniors. That's a very, very young football team, but we have some experienced youth that will pay dividends, I believe. We played a bunch of those guys last year, and then some freshmen coming in, they're going to have a chance to contribute. And just that depth that those guys create and develop on our players to be able to create an environment where, we can roll guys in and it gets late in the game, late in the third quarter, late in the fourth quarter, where we found ourselves in these games and having opportunities to win these games. We have to be able to execute at a high level in those points, and having fresher guys that can execute, and bringing in a number 2 that is not a major drop off from the number 1 is a big part of that, and making those competitive plays and just allowing us to finish. So to me, it's recruiting, it's player development to create that depth.
Coach, you're entering your 3rd season, and football's different than any other sport. And that building or turning something around, it's like trying to turn the Titanic and not hit that iceberg. I know you were probably confident from day one, but was there a moment where you felt, hey, this ship is really turning?
I just would say probably last season when we knew we were so young. And it's one of those seasons that could have gone either direction, because we play a lot of good football teams, and you have to fight and claw and scratch to win football games at this level. And so being as young as we were and playing so many freshmen and having so many guys that are so green on the field, to be able to still know that we're going toe-to-toe with the best in the country, and we're getting late in games against top 10 teams and top 25 teams, and we're a play here and a play there from with a really, really young football team, knowing that we're right there. And then you sign a class that's the highest ranked class in the history of the program after going 5 and 7 for 2 years in a row. But you see that the belief is there, and the excitement for the program is there from the recruits and their families, and they see the change. They see on the field that we're becoming a complete football team in all 3 phases. And we got to keep getting better. We got to keep working hard, and we got to continue to do the things that we're doing. But I just think that the progress is evident to me. I know there's critics out there, and they should be, and no one's as patient as anybody wants us to be, and we all want it now, and I do too. And so, but I do feel like that, to see us be able to go in year 2 with losing so many key seniors on defense and come back in year 2 and not being as good on defense, yes, but also being able to be right there with the top teams in the country, and to be able to be exchanging blows with them when it matters and late in games. And so just having to know that when it happens week after week after week, it's not something that's just by chance. This is what we've created. This is where we are, and we just got to continue to stay the course.
Yeah, I'm not sure everyone grasps the depth of the challenge, but not only do you play in the toughest division in all of college football, the Big Ten East, but you also get the opportunity to go to Nebraska next year, Penn State, Michigan State, and at Purdue. A very challenging schedule.
There's no question, and it's that way every year, and with the 2 teams we draw in the other side of the division outside of Purdue are Northwestern, who won the West last year, and then at Nebraska, which is always a very difficult place to play. And so, that every single season, it's just going to be that way here. And so you just embrace it, and I know that that's makes it difficult for sure, and it makes it difficult to create change in that environment without a doubt. But I think that's why the recruiting piece is so critical. That's why I have to work so hard at recruiting, and that's one reason why I felt like even stepping back as D coordinator, once we got that level of play established on that side of the ball, was critical for me to now focus even more on recruiting and do a better job, because I know that we got to keep putting classes together, and we got to stack 2 and 3 and 4 classes together. Right now we've got 2 that we've been able to put together since our staff's been here, and I've been the head coach. And so we got to get ready for number 3, and then we got to get ready for number 4. And so once you get all those classes together, then you'll start seeing, I think, the true change of a system that's in place, that's developing players, recruiting players, and doing a great job of finishing out games.
And you've talked about depth, and of course, recruiting is the lifeblood of any program. But you've really embraced the rule change that allows freshmen to play those 4 games without burning the red shirt season. How helpful has that been, and you guys trying to get to where you're getting?
I think it's been very important. I think it was I knew it was going to be a great rule when they voted it in, and it proved to be that way, just because of getting guys a chance to get their feet wet, and still have another year to develop and not burn that whole year just for playing a snap or 2. And so you get a chance to get guys in there. Now we've had to really strategically sit down and have a whole plan of attack for that, when you're going to play those guys, how you're going to play those guys, and whether it's early in the season, middle of the season, or end of the season. And so we have a whole board in our meeting room where we go through our freshmen and talk about who's going to come. And you really don't know that until you kind of get through fall camp, but we'll have a pretty clear picture after that with this current freshman class. But I think you have to maximize your roster, and that's one thing we've tried to really do here that allows us to create more depth at key times and key situations, especially on special teams. And so that, to me, it just takes a lot of effort on our part to be able to get that all lined up.
You've run a really balanced recruiting attack. You go after the top in-state kids, and then you got those from the key battle areas, Florida, where you have great relationships, expanded that to Detroit areas. But talk about the importance of the homegrown kids for this Indiana program.
Well, they're the foundation, and I'm an Indiana kid myself, born and raised here, and just believe in the guys that come here from Indiana and what it means to them to be able to be a part of this great university and play for their home state. And I want to do a great job of convincing those best players in Indiana to come to IU and play football. And if they we want to be able to get a core of those guys, because I think they care so much. They're going to fight like crazy to help us beat Purdue, and they're going to fight like crazy to get this program where they know they want it to be, and their families want it to be, and their home high schools want it to be, and their home high school coaches want it to be. And that to me is very, very important, and makes it very powerful. But then you got to mix that in with guys from across the country that want to be here and are talented enough to help us win in the Big Ten. So yeah, it's a universal approach, but it all starts at home.
To follow up on that, it's camping season. The Indiana football camps are coming up. They present a great opportunity for high schoolers to get a taste of big-time college football, to get a taste of Indiana, but it also helps you and your staff to see some of these kids.
Absolutely. There's nothing like a live evaluation. And since I can't go out in the spring to evaluate players, it's very important that we get into a camp. So June 1st is our first mega camp. We got every university, every college in the state of Indiana will be here from all different levels, from Division III up to the Big Ten, and then some MAC schools and even some D2 schools and 1AAs outside the surrounding states, but really Midwest focus. And then we've got team camp here as well. We got 7-on-7 on June 8th that teams will come to, and then we've got 5 days where we go and we travel around. And so we go to all of our top recruiting areas and do satellite camps. And we have 5 of those that we can do legally, and we'll go down there and maximize our 10-day window that we have to be able to get guys either on campus or us to physically go see them and get eyes on them so we can evaluate them. So it's a very important time for us.
I know HoosierSportsCamps.com is a place where they can go, probably call the football office if they need any information as well.
Absolutely, and that's the website to get on. You can register there, and it's about getting seen, and that's one reason. The big thing that is for our mega camp is that I realize not every single young man that comes is going to play in the Big Ten, so we try and I've coached at every level except for junior college, so I want all those small college guys and mid-level guys to be able to be here and evaluate, and it's about finding a home and an opportunity for someone to be able to extend their career and get their education paid for and help them create a future for themselves. So that's what we're trying to do here.
Coach Allen from Indiana football, I cannot thank you enough. You've always been so gracious with us and with your time. We really, really appreciate you.
Oh, absolutely. You're very, very welcome, and have yourself an awesome week. Go IU and LEO.
Thank you, Coach. Coach Tom Allen from Indiana football. Thank you very much. And we'll be back with more here on Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios after this.
There's something wrong with this pride. The actors here have not got a clue. Baby, I'm howling for you.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. The Beat, as Jamal Meeks says. Man, Jamal, he's funny. He's a character, man. Hope you had a great Memorial Day weekend, holiday weekend, I guess. Man, I love a long weekend or a short week, however you want to look at it, or both. It sure shortens that week up because it takes you a few days to get acclimated to what day it actually is. Plenty going on. Camping season is about to begin in most sports. Go to HoosierSportsCamps.com for all of the camps regarding Indiana University. You got Jordan Halls. I know he's having a camp. That one's I think that doesn't start until the 19th. That's at Bloomington South High School. You can go to the Jordan Halls Academy website and check all that out. Plenty to do. Then we've got the All-Star season upon us. That begins on I think the Sunday or Monday. I'm trying to remember. I have to get that. The juniors, they got the juniors involved now. Before, the juniors always played the seniors, which they still do, which that takes place next Wednesday at Newcastle. The juniors play their counterparts at Kentucky. I believe that game is Monday at Jeffersonville. I think they may play Sunday in Kentucky somewhere, probably Bellarmine. But, man, there's always just a ton going on. And then you've got the main games, the seniors playing each other on the Friday and Saturday at Bellarmine, then back at Bankers Life Fieldhouse. So tons going on there. You can catch the Rising Stars. Indiana's got three guys coming to visit this weekend. One is an official from Trey Galloway. We'll talk about all that with Mike Schumann in the next hour. But Galloway, one of the in-state prospects whose game has been on the rise from Culver Academies. He's playing with Christian Lander and that group. That didn't get you a lot of attention, but his game is vastly improved. I think there was a wrist injury in his junior year. Some of his shooting percentages went down. But one of the targets of 2020 for Archie Miller and his staff. More importantly, an in-state target. One of several that they have offered. And there's a lot that has changed in the recruitment of Trey Galloway. Long thought Purdue and Michigan were the front runners. Well, Purdue just got a commitment from a guard in that position, and of course the change at Michigan. They seem like they're going to be going in a different. Let's just say it seems like they'll be going after a different kind of a cat. As Jalen Rose says, they want to get back to the culture of the Fab Five. Trey Galloway does not seem a Fab Five type of dude to me. But that makes things a lot better for Indiana and Archie Miller. We've got the baseball NCAA tournament getting underway this week. Indiana, a number 2 seed in the Louisville region, much as what they were thought to be before they left for the Big Ten tournament. So, as I kind of suspected and said, that they can't hurt themselves at the Big Ten tournament, and they didn't. They went 0-2 and didn't move a lick. One of 5 Big Ten teams to make it in. That's a big deal for the Big Ten, but to give you an understanding of what I call the Sun Belt states, the SEC, 10 bids. 10 for the second straight year. That's a record. They got 10 teams in. ACC got 8. But that shows you the difference in Baseball is dominating conferences. Illinois gets in as a number 2 seed. They're down at Ole Miss. Nebraska's in. Ohio State's in as a 4 seed down in Nashville. Michigan's in as a 3 seed. And, of course, Indiana's down and going to be down in Louisville as a number 2 seed. We hear from Coach Mercer and Matt Gorski the next hour. It was nice hearing Coach Allen again. That was he was very gracious. We appreciate him and Jeff Kegg again for joining us there. That was awesome. Looking forward to later. Michael Lewis is on the program, former Hoosier. Now at UCLA. Not a bad spot, man. Rivals is reporting that IU will have 3 visitors this weekend. As I said, Trey Galloway, the biggest of those. This is an official visit. He goes to Culver Academies. They won a state championship. His dad's the coach. They're a 3A squad. State runner-up in 2019. But his play on the AAU circuit this summer has really gotten him a lot of love. He's a 6'5" guard, averaging nearly 20 points a game on 65% shooting from the field, including 38% behind the three-point line. His three-point shooting really dropped in his junior year. But like I said, that was a potential wrist injury. He's playing AAU with Anthony Leo and Christian Lander, a couple of other Indiana recruits. Seeing that kind of gives you the reminiscence of reminiscence. Wow, is that really a word?
I don't know. I've never heard it before.
If it is, I just coined it, baby. Wow, that came out naturally too, off target, or off the subject. But thinking about having Anthony Leo and Christian Lander and Trey Galloway, Trey Kaufman, all Indiana kids, harkens back to the days of Todd Leary and Pat Graham and Greg Graham and Alan Henderson and Calbert Chaney and Damon Bailey and Matt Nover and Brian Evans, all on those teams, all from Indiana. Kind of gives you that feel, man. Trace Jackson Davis. You get these, if you can get them together, that's the difference today. You know, Brian Evans was on not too long ago on the show and talked about where are these kids going. He called out James Blackman a couple times. Where are these kids racing to? The G League? Those guys were together. They all got to play together. That's why all those great names got to play together, because they were all in different classes. It went from, you talk about a mountaintop. You went from Eric Anderson's senior year, that goes down to Brian Evans' freshman season, a redshirt season, but that spans 5 years right there. And you talk about 5 good years. Woo-hoo! 5 good years of Indiana talent. It's almost impossible to do that now because the kids won't stay. Because they had NBA talent on that team. All those guys I just mentioned, virtually all of them played in the NBA. But we've got plenty more coming up here on the program today. Like I said, we've got an exclusive interview with Michael Lewis, the former Hoosier, former Nebraska assistant, former Butler assistant, and now headed off to UCLA under Mick Cronin. We'll talk with Michael. Also, Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier will join us. We'll talk about Trey Galloway, his visit, and who else is coming as well. to see the Indiana basketball program this weekend. All that and more. Stay tuned. From the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, we're back with more Indiana Sports Beat right after this.
Wait only for my boot heels to be wandering. I'm ready to go anywhere. I'm ready for to fade into my own parade. Cast your dance and spill my way. I promise to go wandering. Hey, Mr. Tambourine.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us research program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become one in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
Hey, it's Michael Lewis, former Indiana University player and current UCLA assistant basketball coach, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat.
This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming
Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Hope you had a great Memorial Day holiday weekend. Jake's at the wheel, keeping everything on the track. Hope your day's off to a good start. If not, let's get it headed in that right direction. Another great program for you. Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier will join us. We'll hear from baseball coach Jeff Mercer, Matt Gorski. Indiana lands at the number 2 spot in Louisville. And an exclusive interview with Michael Lewis, former Hoosier, former Nebraska assistant, now at UCLA under Mick Cronin. So another big program, man. Looking forward to it. Lots of things going on. The NCAA Tournament Selection Committee met yesterday, determined who's in and who's not. The Big Ten gets 5 teams in to the NCAA tournament this season. As I said, Louisville will host a site, and Indiana will be there as a number 2 seed in that tournament. You've got Ohio State and Michigan both in, Nebraska and Illinois. We'll hear from Coach Jeff Mercer here in a second as he met with the media yesterday. As the Hoosiers returned from Omaha with not a great performance, obviously going 0-2 out there, but they've always performed well coming off of bad performances. Let's hope that works out for them well this weekend down in Louisville. Let's hear what Coach Mercer had to say.
Feel to be in the playoffs, back in the playoffs? It's certainly exciting. This time of the year is always a lot of fun, and fortunately for us, we've both at Indiana and the programs that have been on the past have been in a lot of the tournaments. So you kind of have an idea of what to expect, and it's exciting, but it's also to be expected, and that's what we work every day for, and looking forward to going out and putting our best foot forward.
How much do you feel like you maybe don't need to talk to guys about this experience because they know what a regional feels like? Just how it works, how it moves. I know obviously everyone's different, but just the experience of it, I guess.
It certainly helps that the players here have played, for the most part, have played in the regional. I think it's always important to reiterate what is successful in these type of tournaments. It's the team that's the best with 2 strikes and with 2 outs, the team that can go out and execute the best. I mean, these games are going to be 1-run games in the 7th inning, one way or the other. You're either up or you're down by 1 in the 7th, and you got to find a way to scrap it out in the end. So we talk about those things and make sure that we understand how these games will go and what is successful in a tournament like this. You look at the course of a season over a 24, 26, whatever you play in the conference schedule. You can play a little bit different style, right? You're going to get somebody's Saturday and Sunday guy. You're going to get somebody's 3rd or 4th reliever. You're going to play against the teams that range the spectrum of the conference, and you can win games. Maybe not if you don't win a Friday, you can still go out and win a conference championship. And these games will be different. They'll be tight. All the teams here are either playing their best baseball at the end of the season, or they've put a body of work together that secured them a bid in this tournament. So everybody will be very good, and everybody will be fully prepared to have success in this type deals.
How do you sort of maybe diagnose what went wrong in Omaha? Was it maybe a matter of guys maybe trying to play?
That was Coach Jeff Mercer meeting with the media yesterday as the Hoosiers prepare to travel to Louisville for the NCAA tournament. Now, also, don't forget this Wednesday is the big night at Huber's. Coach Allen, Coach Miller, Fred Glass will all be appearing at Huber's on Wednesday. I'm sure that most people have already gotten their tickets. That thing's usually sold out. We'll have coverage from that. It's a busy week, man, for nothing going on. It's a busy week, especially down south, because you've got all the all-star stuff starting. And because the first games are in Louisville, the juniors will be playing the Kentucky All-Stars. That happens Sunday and Monday. I think Monday's game is the Indiana side. That'll be at Jeffersonville High School. Then Wednesday, oh man, I think it's Wednesday. What a tough, won't be able to cover that, but the junior and the seniors All-Stars play at Newcastle. I think that is Wednesday, which is the same day as Huber, so can't be in two places at once there. We'll be at Huber's covering that event. Then you've got the All-Star games themselves, Friday and Saturday between Indiana and Kentucky at Bellarmine, and then back at Bankers Life Fieldhouse. So a lot going on this week. Then you get to start a camp season. So much to do, so little time. Go to HoosierSportsCamps.com to get all the information there. Hey, we've got a lot more coming up. We've got 3 visits to the Indiana campus coming up this weekend for basketball, so that adds to the busy schedule. Trey Galloway is one of those. We'll talk to Mike Schumann about that later on. But coming up next, an exclusive interview with former Hoosier and current UCLA assistant Michael Lewis. All that coming up here on the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat. Back with more right after this.
And I begin to pray. You know, the preacher digs a call, 'cause he knows I'm gonna stay. He knows I'm gonna stay. I told him so. California dreaming.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us research program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Just another way to survive. California, rest in peace. Simultaneous release.
Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jim Coyle with you here at Indiana Sports Beat. And, man, we could not be happier than having a good friend of the show, Michael Lewis. Michael, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. The sun is shining bright out here in California, so I'm excited. And obviously, there's a lot of change going on, but couldn't be happier to land at a place like UCLA.
Yeah, I was going to say anything new happening in your life, but wow, what a great turnaround, man. I mean, obviously things didn't work out for Coach Miles at Nebraska, but couldn't be it's not a bad landing spot out in sunny California.
No, I think you could probably find some worse places. You know, this is pretty good, but it just it's obviously a great opportunity for me. And anytime you get join a university and a program like UCLA that not only with the athletics but the outstanding academics that they have, and obviously everybody knows about the history of the basketball program and what they've been able to do on a national scale as far as national championships and all the great players. I mean, there's too many to even start naming, and just what the program means to those players, what the program represents, and to be a part of that, is very special.
Well, speaking of players, man, no player comes to mind quicker and faster than a certain tall guy that does TV out there.
Yeah, I look forward to meeting him, and I'll probably just sit and listen. When those guys are around, and I was out here yesterday. We had we're in a quarter system out here, so we're still able to work our guys out. Just a couple of guys coming through the gym yesterday, that are out of the NBA season right now, coming back to work out. It's a special place, and to have the access to those guys and to everything that they've been able to accomplish and those resources, is going to be a really cool thing, for me to be a part of.
I was talking about Bill Walton obviously earlier, and he is one of the most famous names to come through there. I mean, very, very gregarious character, and the funny thing, I love listening to him when he does TV. He cracks me up, but he's so smart, and I think he kind of lulls people in, and all of a sudden, but he knows exactly what the heck's going on in those games, and man, he is really good at that.
Yeah, he's obviously an interesting character. I haven't listened to him much because normally I'm in bed when he's announcing games, and that's going to be something to get used to. Like the last 2 days, I've woken up about 4:05 and 5. So I'm sure my body clock will eventually adjust. But there's a lot of great things that obviously UCLA is going to be able to opportunity-wise provide me with, and just it's just really cool when you're able to you walk. Just around the campus and in the facilities and the practice facility, and then obviously Poly Pavilion and the Athletics Hall of Fame. Like, you just realize that how many really impactful people have been a part of this campus.
Well, we talk about college basketball, obviously one of the most iconic programs. You come from an iconic program in Indiana, but UCLA and John Wooden that started back in the late 60s, and they won all those national titles, 10 that he won. Of course, he's from Indiana. And then you had the previous coaching regime there, that's Coach Alford, obviously from Indiana and an IU connection. And then you have what a connection between Indiana and UCLA.
Yeah, it's kind of strange when you mention it the way that you just did, but I mean, I feel so lucky, to be able to play where I played, and have that experience and feel the way that I do about the experience that I had in Indiana, and then to be able to coach out here. When you talk about college basketball, I've been able to do some really, really fun things, but to be able to play at Indiana and now coach at UCLA, you're talking about two of the great programs, and so I know how lucky I am. I get it, I'm just excited to get to work.
And you get to coach under Mick Cronin, who left Cincinnati to go out there, had a great run there. But he's one of those up-and-comers, man. You knew that something big was coming for him as well. And UCLA, it worked out for him to be out there. And, of course, it turned out for you to be. How did that come about?
Well, I first met Mick when I was an assistant at Eastern Illinois, and he was the head coach at Murray State before he left and went to Cincinnati. It was the first time that I met him. We competed against each other, and then when I was at Butler, we played a Cincinnati team one year at Cincinnati. Just kind of being in the same geographical area there for so many years, we would always run across each other recruiting and things, and I think there's always just been a mutual respect there, and honestly, this kind of came out of the blue for me. When you get let go from Nebraska, and all of a sudden you wake up in the morning, you find yourself with nothing to do. You end up cleaning out your garage with your wife on Good Friday, and you get your phone buzzes, and you get a random text message from Mick. And he had just taken the job a week or two before, and just sent a text and, hey, just checking in on you. How are you doing? And I've gotten a bunch of texts from different people. When you're in that situation, the coaching community is pretty close, and so I just responded with, like, hey, I'm doing well. I mean, not as well as you are, but, and it just kind of started to snowball. He just talked about, he was thinking about his staff and different things, and telling me how great it was out here. Not that I needed to be sold, but and then we had some conversations, and I was able to get out here and look around for a couple of days and be around him for a couple of days, and things worked out, and so couldn't be more excited to be a part of this, and to work for somebody like Mick. The success that he's had, how he goes about it. I think he's been in 9 consecutive NCAA tournaments, which I think he's one of 5 or 6 coaches in the country that has a streak like that, and so it's another opportunity to work under obviously a very good coach and learn and continue to try to grow into what I'd like to become.
And obviously UCLA storied passes have talked about, but they're trying to get back to that too, and to be a part of that, that unbelievable history and all that goes with that. That's got to be just an incredible thing, just in and of itself.
Well, you can feel it, just walking through campus and walking into the facilities. You can feel the tradition, and I think you also when you work here, and I'm sure it'll hit me more and more, but you feel a great deal of responsibility, to the program, and to do things the right way, and to win at a high level, and to build this back up and have the type of success that they're accustomed to, because you do. I understand, what it's like to be a former player at Indiana, so I have a small understanding of what the former players feel for this place, and so I do. I feel some responsibility to have some success and to do it the right way, and to find, the type of individuals that will represent this place the way that it is expected.
And UCLA, although they haven't had the success that they want to here of late, they're still had a ton of players that come through there that have gone on to the NBA, and just they continue to produce a lot of talent.
Yeah, the list of NBA players, obviously former, but even current, is amazing. And you know, the impact that UCLA has out here in the West, it's huge. I mean, obviously they can recruit nationally, but when you're just talking about the West, you talk about UCLA, and right now it's Gonzaga and Arizona, and Washington's kind of getting it rolling. But there's no reason why we at UCLA shouldn't be able to put ourselves in position to recruit the best of the best, especially here on the West Coast, but nationally as well.
We not too long ago, you had Chris Wilkes that was out there, a kid from Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Schilling was there coaching under Alford before he came and joined Archie Miller's staff. Is Indiana one of the places, obviously, you plan to recruit?
Well, I think we can recruit anywhere. I think when you're at a place like UCLA and have the tradition and the history and the resources and everything that this place represents, like I've said before, I think I don't ever think you limit yourself to anywhere you can recruit. So I think we're going to try to go recruit the best of the best and find guys that fit here academically and can represent UCLA for what it needs to be represented for, and that's the history of excellence.
You've got the Lakers and all that goes with that stuff out there, and the Showtime that they used to have. But it's a different environment, basketball and otherwise. Now, I've not spent any time around the UCLA program, obviously, but it seems like a much different environment than, say, the Midwest.
Well, I think you're going to find that whether you go to the East Coast, the Midwest, the South. I think each area kind of has its own little niche. And I'm sitting in my office looking out the window and there was definitely not any palm trees in Lincoln, Nebraska. And so, it is different, but, there's NBA guys across the sidewalk in the men's gym here at UCLA working out all summer. Our guys have access to play pickup games with them, obviously, and that's not even touching upon just the UCLA pros and the alumni. There's a reason why everybody wants to get to LA and spend their free time, when they have the opportunity. It's a beautiful place. Campus is unreal. The facilities are great. So it's a unique opportunity for our guys to kind of be around guys that are doing what they eventually would like to do and to see the level that they have to work out to get there. I've only been around our guys for one workout, but was really impressed, not only with their abilities, but just who they are as people and how well spoken they are. And, it just kind of, I think, represents a small piece of what UCLA stands for.
And you speak of the guys that you got. Obviously, the recruiting season, is recruiting already set for the season for UCLA, or do you guys have to get at it right now?
Well, we have one open scholarship, and I don't know if we're going to fill that or not. I think it maybe if the right situation came to us, it's something we might explore. But I'm pretty fortunate in that regard that you're not coming in as a new staff and need to sign 6 or 7 new players. So the roster is pretty stable. We've got to tighten up a few screws here. With some accountability things, and they let Steve go early in the year. Anytime you have that type of change, things can get a little squirrely at times. But we've got good guys. We tighten up a few things and have a good summer and enter the fall the right way, and we'll be okay. But I've been very impressed with my interactions with the guys in our team so far.
You talked about doing things the right way, and that brings to mind all the stuff that's been going on, the FBI corruption trial and all that. How difficult has it been to be out there on the recruiting trail with all that stuff going on out there?
Well, I don't know how. I mean, it is what it is, and it's something that we've known that's you've always kind of speculated things have been happening like that for a long time. So it doesn't really change anything. I think it, now that it's brought to light, it's disappointing. You care about the game that you represent in college basketball and what it can do for so many, and yet we're damaging our game for the top 1%. Giving our game a bad name, and we need to protect our game a little bit better. We need to do things the right way, and it starts with us as coaches. But I also think it's starting to trickle up to athletic directors and presidents that, when there's things going on at your institution, you need to protect that as well and set a good example. And until it gets cleaned up, it's not going to change. And I'm not. We'll see what the fallout is from the recent trials and different things. But we're at a real crossroads, and we've got. We've got a little black eye here, and it's unfortunate because college basketball as a whole, I think, does a lot of good for a lot of people.
And when you're out doing it the right way, like you guys do, and I know that you do, always been a stand-up person, is that do you see that people are now more gravitating and appreciating that more when you're going to these homes and you're talking to parents or you're talking to kids?
Well, I think you've always seen that. There's always been kind of a divide. And it's something that you can get a feel for very early on in the recruiting process. And, each experience is different. Each kid you recruit, the people around them are different. And we're talking about a very small percentage. This is not, but you are talking about some of the top guys that represent your product, in college basketball. So it's always something that you've been aware of. You can kind of navigate your way through it. And it's like anything else. And in any industry that you're in, any job, you got choices every day. You got choices to do things the right way, or you can cut corners. And I've been very fortunate that I haven't been put in too many positions where, that stuff has come up. I've been able to recognize things pretty much on the front end and been able to steer clear of that stuff.
I know this is a stupid question, and things have to work out the way they work out, and they don't always do that. But if the opportunity came up and there was an interest from IU, would that ever be a possibility for you?
I mean, Jim, I've been at UCLA for 2 days. I'm excited to be here. Obviously,
and I didn't mean anything present.
Yeah. I think Indiana basketball, Jim, is always it's a huge part of who I am. It's a major part of why I'm at UCLA. It's provided me with so much. It means so much to me. I just take each opportunity that comes my way, and I evaluate it at that particular time, and just go from there. And it's worked out for me this far in my career, and I'm excited about the opportunity here at UCLA.
How was In-N-Out Burger?
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. You hear about it, you read about it, and so I took a little walk down there last night to see what the big deal was, and it's not bad. It's not. I mean, it's a fast food burger and fries, but it's pretty good.
I'll be honest with you. I did the same thing when I was out there. I love coming to LA. It's one of my favorite places to visit. But I'm a Whataburger man. I love the fries and all that, but it was all right. But I'm a Whataburger guy.
I've lived in Texas. I've had the Whataburger. I've experienced it all. It's like anything. When you get to a level of good, it's just good. It's a fast food burger. It's pretty good. I enjoyed it last night, and by the line at the drive-through that I walked past, there was probably 20 cars in the drive-through. I think they're doing okay out here.
Yeah, that's the one thing that did amaze me. The place I was at that time, they were around the block for the drive-through. Yeah. I'm like, okay, this must be incredible.
I'm like any other guy. Like, I like me a good fast food cheeseburger, but I'm not sitting in a drive-through line for 20-25 minutes for a burger.
No, either.
I'm not doing that.
Hey, my good friend Kevin Brockway from CNHI Papers joins us a lot, and he's the guy. He covered you when you were at the Sea Dragons in Florida?
Oh yeah, down in Fort Myers. Yeah. Tell Kevin I said hello. He was great. I spent a little time really right after I graduated Indiana. Even before graduation, I went down there. I was actually done with school. And this kind of like a little, at that time, it was a small summer league, kind of bridged the college season before the, some of the NBA summer leagues were going. And I went down there and played for a couple months and, had a blast. Lived on the beach and hung out, and Kevin was there. So tell Kevin I said hello.
We'll do that. So you're back to the beach, man. When you were a Sea Dragon, can you imagine one day you'd be rubbing shoulders with Bill Walton on the UCLA campus?
You always have a dream picture of where you may end up, and you never really know steps that you have to take to kind of get to where your dream is. And I feel very fortunate, obviously, to be, sitting here at UCLA and the opportunity to coach here, like I've said, and I'm just going to approach this like I've done everything else. I'm going to try to do my job to the best of my abilities, and we'll see where it leads.
I know former Indiana basketball player Steve Risley lives out there, and he was disappointed when Steve Alford was let go because he got to go down to the UCLA games and whatnot. So I'm sure he's really ecstatic. If he hasn't reached out to you yet, he probably will be.
Well, he sent me something on Twitter, yesterday, and that's the one thing, man. My phone is, I haven't been able to get back to everybody, but he reached out on Twitter, said some nice things, and so I'm sure we'll hook up, and Steve he's still welcome in Poly. I'll take care of him.
Well, I'm gonna get Leary, and we're gonna come out one time and visit you. I can't wait.
Well, come on, man.
I got a quick Bill Walton story for you, so you can get prepared if you ever go to lunch with him. I was working as a youngster for CBS Sports during the NCAA tournament one year, and I was the runner. Just go do whatever they needed, and then go get lunch one day. And you got Quinn Buckner, former IU guys. Hey, give me a grilled chicken sandwich, this, that, and the other thing. And everybody's along the same lines. Of course, Bill Walton says, "Jim, can you find me a tofu burger?" Yada yada. And I'm like, I was in Louisville, and I'm like, man, I said, I'll try, but I'm in Louisville. And I ended up finding one for him, but he was a pretty amazing character.
Yeah, I don't know if I can get into all those things, but, I am who I am, Jim. I'm a Southern Indiana guy, and I'm excited about this opportunity. And I don't think I think there's a few things out here I'm not sure I'll ever be able to adjust to, but really looking forward to experience and excited to be out here.
Me too. I'm looking forward to having a beer with you on the veranda at French Lick sometime again.
Let's do it. They taste pretty good there.
Yes, sir. I cannot be happier for you. I'm so happy for you and your family. It's an amazing opportunity for you, and just couldn't have happened to a greater guy.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I really do.
Michael, we appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. Good luck. I hope you guys kill it out there. We'll be following UCLA, and good luck in everything you do.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks.
That's going to wrap up this segment with Michael Lewis. Thanks you so much from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. We'll be back with more Indiana Sports Beat right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become one in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jim Coyle with you, Indiana Sports Beat. We're back in live action after a nice holiday weekend. Michael Schumann, how are you doing, sir?
Doing great. How are you doing?
Good, good. Things at the Daily Hoosier flying along. A lot to write about with 3 impending visits this weekend.
Yeah, and maybe even a 4th. I've heard through the grapevine that Zach Loveday, the big 7-footer out of Ohio, may be unofficially visiting as well. So it's going to be definitely a busy weekend of folks coming through Bloomington to check things out. So a big weekend. I think Indiana needs to get some momentum going in the class of 2020 after what I think anyone would say was a disappointing end to the efforts related to the class of 2019. So they need to change the narrative.
Yeah, you know, and after getting to talk to a lot of these former players, it really it allows you to think in a different direction. And I think about when Brian Evans was on, he talked about when he first was on that team, like 11 out of the 13 were from Indiana. They were just, all of them were from Indiana, and a couple that weren't were from right around the border state, Illinois or whatnot. But by the time he left, there was only like 2 on the team from Indiana. And it was such a monumental shift. But I see this shift now kind of coming back with all the guys that Archie is really targeting right now. A huge emphasis on in-state kids. And there's a lot of them in these next 2 classes.
Yeah, that stood out to me in your conversation with Brian Evans when he said that, because it was just an interesting observation during an interesting time in IU basketball history, because that was really kind of the beginning of the end with Coach Knight, I guess you could say, because, you know,
and exactly. I was thinking the same thing, Mike. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much of it was, you know, just not a lot of talent at the time within the state's borders, but I don't think that ever stopped him from bringing kids in like Brian Evans, even if they weren't the top ranked guys in the country. I think it was more just a change in the dynamics of, you know, what kids were looking for out of a coaching staff and out of a college opportunity. And you started bringing in like a Neil Reed or an Andre Patterson and those type of guys. And, they weren't born and raised on the Bob Knight experience. And so they started, appreciating things in a completely different way than kids had in the past. And, so sounds like Brian kind of got to see both ends of that. And I know the whole talk about, recruiting Indiana kids is a trigger for some people. They get upset because it's like, what, who cares? Just bring in the best guys. But what I always go back to is, what, you are an Indiana school. You have an organic advantage in what is probably, it's not even arguable. It's the per capita best producer of talent in the country. Why wouldn't you take advantage of that year in and year out versus going out against all the other sharks in the water nationally and recruiting for the top talent? I mean, you have to take advantage of every opportunity that you have, and it's a clear advantage for Indiana University to recruit within the state's borders. Having said that, they've had that advantage in recent years. Like, the so-called movement was largely an Indiana class that didn't turn out all that well. And, I think this class last year, the 2018 class, is still kind of to be determined how it's going to pan out with a largely Indiana-based look to it. So it's not a cure-all by any means, but I still think at the end of the day, you have to go with, your organic advantage that you have there.
Yeah, there's one thing that I think is for certain that you could say, that if you have the best talent that Indiana produces each year, you're going to be doing okay at worst, because there's always great talent that comes out of this state. And if you're getting your better than fair share of each season, then you're going to always have a great foundation. And I think that's something that they had gotten away from. Obviously, it's not something I think, it's pretty obvious. The Tom Crean regime was not doing a very good job of recruiting the state, kind of had given up on it. But like I said, if you just the top talent in Indiana each year, if you're getting those guys, you've got a foundation every year after year.
Yeah, and I guess what we've learned is that, when you go away from that, like Crean did, Indiana, unfortunately, if you're just being honest, the brand isn't, what it used to be nationally. The candy stripe pants don't hold as much significance once you're outside the borders. And so trying to recruit for the top guys is not easy at all. And so sometimes you end up with recruiting classes that don't look the best on paper and don't really pan out, which, ultimately is what did Crean in, at least in the last couple of years, in my opinion. So, I don't think Archie Miller's going into it blindly by any stretch. He seems to be striking a good balance between in-state and out-of-state, but there's certainly a lot of kids that he could have gone after that he passed on, including with open scholarships this year. He passed on a guy like Jalen Wyndham, who was still good enough to go to a Power 5 school like Creighton. So it's not, as if, we're going all in on Indiana and that's it. It's trying to strike a balance, but placing a heavy emphasis where there's a heck of a lot of talent and an advantage for IU.
Absolutely. And I think that also it gives them a leg up on other schools that poach them, that's been poaching Indiana. I mean, you can't say that Purdue poaches because they're within the state, but they're one of them that draws. You've got Notre Dame that draws. You've got Butler that draws from it. Now you got Michigan State, and all these Ohio State, Louisville and Kentucky at times. You've got to drain at all times on that talent. So to be able to lock that down, it also says a lot about the program at that time. If you have that going on, obviously things are probably going to be going pretty well. Which I would imagine it'd be a pretty good indicator.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Every top kid that Indiana is going for right now has seemingly all or a good chunk of those schools that you mentioned on their list. I mean, they're all real and legitimate threats that IU has to counter. I'd throw in a school like Xavier on there as well. Like they stole Trayvon Blewett, who was one of the top players in the state, out a few years ago. Here not too long ago, you could look all the way out to UCLA, obviously Kentucky's taken their share of the top talent. So there's no limit on the amount of guys that are going to try to come into the state and go for the top talent. And so, all the more reason why you need to emphasize those kids in state. You need to emphasize the relationships. You need to do things like they're doing here in a couple of weeks with the team camps down in Bloomington, where you have the high school programs coming in to play in Assembly Hall and Cook Hall. So I think all those things are mission critical to avoid being just another school out in the waters.
You mentioned we talked about Trey Galloway is coming for an official visit this weekend. You mentioned that Zach Loveday possibly could be. There's a couple other guys that are expected to be in Bloomington this weekend as well.
Yeah, the ones I've read about on the recruiting service sites are Galloway, who's actually in Bloomington now, and we have a official visit primer up on our site if you want to get to know more about him. He's a really intriguing talent to me because he's, he kind of fits what I think Archie Miller's trying to do in a lot of respects. For one, he's a long guard. He's about 6'5" and very athletic, deceptively athletic, but he can guard, all three positions out on the perimeter, which makes him attractive, but he can do it with length too, which I think is really important in the pack line. But he's also a coach's son up at Culver Academies. They've been to the state finals back-to-back years and won it in 2018. And everything you hear about Trey Galloway is that he just plays with a lot of passion and intensity and grit that, I think's been missing from this program. And I think if you look at the kind of guys that Miller's been offering here of late, it seems to be a recurring theme with the guys that he's going after. So, I think there may be a recognition within the staff that, what we need to, add in to the things we've talked about with in-state focus. We need to add in some heavy focus on some guys that Miller succeeded with in the past, such as he did at Dayton. So I think Galloway fits a lot of those things. There's been questions about his perimeter shooting, but I think I've read several accounts that much of his struggle here in his junior year of high school was with a wrist injury that he had. Yet another example of, hey, if you have a injury on your shooting hand, guess what? That affects your shooting. So, he shot like 27% his junior year of high school, but he's shooting much better here in the spring. He shot much better his freshman and sophomore year. So I think that's a overdone concern. And if you had any questions that IU was focusing too much on in-state, he's just the perfect example of, he's got offers from the likes of, Michigan State and Butler and Purdue and all those typical schools that we talked about. So he's a guy that's highly regarded and is going to be a great, great college basketball player, in my opinion.
And he's playing his summers with some other guys that are definite targets of Indiana. Mr. Lander is one of those from down in Evansville. But that team is just filled with a potential IU recruit.
Yeah, Anthony Leal's on that team as well. He's taking an unofficial visit this week, later in the week. Those two, Galloway and Leal, have been teammates for a long time, and based on my discussions with the Leal family, are very close. And they're not saying that they want to or intend to play together, but it's something to definitely keep an eye on, because I think we most people that follow IU basketball recruiting know that Leo is probably the most likely player right now to land at IU. So if he is in fact does have his heart set on IU and he can start pulling in some of these other guys like Galloway, that would be a huge asset. You mentioned Lander. The more I watch all of Indiana's recruits, I can't think of anybody that is more important on the in the pipeline, either 2020 or 21 than Lander, just from both a pure talent perspective, which he's the best player that I'm seeing out there that in the state in either class, and from just furthering that in-state initiative. I think the guy is just mission critical. He's incredibly talented. He's only like 6'2", but from a pure athleticism and speed standpoint, I haven't seen anybody better in the state.
He reminds me of a young Jay Edwards, a little smaller version.
Yep, I can definitely see that. although I'd say he's probably even quicker than Mr. Edwards. That to me, that's probably his most impressive attribute right now. Is I haven't seen anybody be able to stay in front of him on the defensive end. And once he further develops his offhand, his right hand, I think he's going to be virtually unstoppable as an upperclassman.
And I don't know what his stats are right now, but when I saw him, man could shoot.
Yeah, and he's playing a year up in AAU ball, and he's putting up numbers that would make you think that he's not, that he's playing with guys his own age. So I think he's a clear 5-star. I think he's clearly going to be, I think between him and Caleb First, it's not clear which one's going to be the top player in the state. But for my money right now, it's Lander, just because I think he's got so much more potential. Whereas First, if he doesn't grow more, I think he's going to kind of struggle to get the shots up that he gets now at a Big Ten level. And he maybe would need to develop more of a perimeter game, but Lander's just got a clear translation to the Big Ten, almost right now, the way his game looks.
And he's got 2 more years of high school left.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, there's a reason why people are identifying him as a top 20 5-star talent after his sophomore year. I mean, I think if you watch him play, and we've got some good videos of him up on our site, there's just no doubt that the guy's going to be an absolute stud in college.
There is a ton of talent coming through Indiana in the 20 and 21 classes. I mean, it sounds kind of redundant to say that, because it seems like that happens all the time. But, man, it just seems like they're extra juiced these next couple of years.
Yeah, 2021 is definitely the in-state class to circle. It might be the class that, one way or the other, good or bad, defines the Archie Miller tenure at Indiana, because we mentioned First and Lander, but maybe just a tiny step below those guys are names like Trey Kaufman out of Silver Creek down in your area. There's one of Caleb First's good friends in Fort Wayne. His name's Luke Goody. He actually played up this weekend as well. He played up for the under 17 Indy Heat down in Dallas on the Nike EYBL. His first opportunity to do that, and he, he did very well. So, these are guys that are still very young, doing impressive things right now. And Goody, by the way, is his uncle is Trent Green, the former IU quarterback, I've been told. So I think that's an interesting little tidbit that might indicate where his heart is if an IU offer comes his way.
That would anything that can help the recruiting out is always welcome. Who else is coming for a visit this weekend? I know there's one we may have left out.
Yeah, I think we mentioned Galloway now, Leland Loveday later in the week on unofficials, and then Matt Cross out of Boston is here on Friday, I believe, is when his official starts. I think Indiana's making some really nice, quick traction with him. Indiana only offered him, I'd say, about a month ago after a really strong opening AAU weekend, and he's just continued from there. I'm putting something together right now that I'll probably publish in about an hour that recaps the numbers over the weekend for Indiana's targets on the Nike circuit this past weekend, and his numbers are far and away the best of anybody that Indiana's targeting in the 2020 class. He averaged like 26 points a game over 4 or 5 games. And his one struggle that at least gives you pause when you look at pure numbers is his offensive efficiency. He gets his points, but he gets it via a lot of shots. Part of that's because he's on a bad AAU team. I believe their record is 1-12. And so he has to carry the load. When I watched him play up in Westfield, Indiana, when that circuit was up my way, that you could tell that he was by far the best player on the team, and he just had to get a lot of shots up. So it's not entirely his fault, but this past weekend his efficiency numbers were much better. So I don't know if he's focused on that or not, but it's clear that he made some improvement there. But he'll be up this weekend, and I believe that Indiana, in fact, I read an article recently that someone, I think it was an Xavier related article, who's also recruiting him, but they indicated that they're hearing that Indiana might be rumored to be the leader right now. So it wouldn't be completely shocking if Indiana ended up with their first 2020 commitment this week, but it might still be a little bit too early. But I think they've got a lot of guys, including Galloway, Leal, and Cross, that I would at least categorize as IU leans right now.
Well, we'll certainly find out. Mike Schumann, you can find it at thedailyhoosier.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jim. Have a great one.
You bet. You as well. Hey, that's going to wrap it up for us from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat. We'll be back with more tomorrow, of course. I think we might hear from Coach Yeagley tomorrow to see what we got lined up for you. But we're going to hear from a lot of IU coaches this week. Angel Escobedo, a wrestling coach, the new women's soccer coach, Erwin Van Bennekom. So looking for good things on that program as they try to elevate themselves up to the men. Might as well use some resources that are right there. But that's going to wrap it up. We appreciate you. I hope you had a great holiday weekend. We're back live again tomorrow, like I said, on Indiana Sports Beat. I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.